Hello guys, let's talk about what's the US Constitution. First guide to government. We the people. What's the Constitution? What is the United States Constitution? The United States Constitution is a very important document, paper. It was written by a group of men who lived in the United States of America. At the time when the Constitution was written, the United States was a new country. The Constitution is 4 pages long. The capital of the United States is in Washington, D.C. The Constitution was written to explain how the United States federal government should work. The federal government leads the entire country. The Constitution is a written law, rule, that the federal government must follow. The Constitution gives people the freedom of speech. The Constitution describes the rights of people in the United States, rights of freedoms that people have. These rights include the right to say what you believe. The law of the Constitution must be followed by everyone in the United States. The Constitution gives new citizens rights. The Constitution can be changed. These changes are called amendments. Amendments are made to meet the needs of the country or individual states. They are made to meet the needs of citizens in the United States. Citizens are people who live in the United States and can vote for their leaders. History of the Constitution. The 13 states needed to work together. And what are the 13 states? New Hampshire, Massachusetts, New York, Rhode Island, Connecticut, New Jersey, Delaware, Maryland, Pennsylvania, Virginia, North Carolina, South Carolina, and Georgia. When the United States of America first became a country, there were only 13 states. Each state had its own document that said how its state government would run the state. In 1776, people in the states joined together to create the United States. They decided they needed a government to lead all the states. They decided to write a document to create rules for how this government would work. Important people met to create the new government, like you see in the picture. The Articles of Confederation. The document was called the Articles of Confederation. It was written in 1781, long back ago. The Articles of Confederation did not give the government a lot of power over the states. The people realized this was not working. See the printed copy of Articles of Confederation. The states needed a stronger government to lead them. They decided to rewrite the Articles of Confederation. They held a meeting in the city of Philadelphia. The meeting was called the Constitutional Convention. Leaders met at Independence Hall in Philadelphia. Writing the Constitution. The meeting including a man from each state except the state of Rhode Island. People at the meeting decided that they would write a new document called the United States Constitution. This document would replace the Articles of Confederation. State leaders discussed the kind of government they would create. George Washington, Benjamin Franklin, James Madison, Alexander Hamilton. The Constitution was written by a group of men. They decided how the federal government would work. Some of these men were James Madison, Alexander Hamilton, George Washington, and Benjamin Franklin. Like in the picture, you can see each of them. After the Constitution was approved, it was signed. The United States Constitution was written in 1787 on September 17, 1787. It was approved by the men who attended the Constitutional Convention. It also had to be created by the states. In order to become a law, 9 states had to vote in favor of the Constitution. The state of New Hampshire was the 9th state to approve the Constitution. This happened in June of 1788. The Constitution then replaced the Articles of Confederation. Today there are 50 states. They all must obey the law of the US Constitution. These are the first 9 states to vote for the Constitution. Parts of the Constitution. The United States Constitution has 3 parts. The preamble tells why the Constitution was written. The Articles tells how the federal government works. The amendment lists changes to the Constitution. The Constitution is on display in Washington, D.C., like you see in the picture. The preamble is the first part of the Constitution. It explains why the Constitution was written. It was written to form a strong federal government. It introduced a Constitution. Article 1, 2, and 3. The federal government. There are 7 articles in the Constitution. The first 3 articles describe how the federal government works. The founding father divided the federal government into 3 parts. There are the legislative branch, Article 1, the executive branch, Article 2, and the judicial branch, Article 3. These are the Supreme Court judges, like you see in the picture. The first 3 articles describe the job of each branch of the government. The legislative branch makes law for the country. The executive branch makes sure the laws are followed. The judicial branch decides if a law has been broken. The first 3 articles explain how the 3 branches must work together. The branches have different jobs, but they must agree with the decision of the other 2 branches. One branch cannot make decision for the entire country. Each part of the federal government meets in the Washington, D.C. Article 4, a state government. Article 4 describes how the state governments work with the federal government. It also describes how states work with each other. Article 4 says that each state can make its own laws. States must always follow federal laws. Each state has its own government. Article 5, changing the Constitution. The 27th Amendment was the last amendment added to the Constitution. The Constitution can be amendment changed. Article 5 describes how to amend the Constitution. It takes a long time to add a new amendment to the Constitution. People in the federal government and the state must vote in the favor of the amendment for it to be added. Article 5 helps the government meet the needs of its people. Article 5 made the Constitution a special document. It allows the Constitution to change when the needs of American citizens change. The Constitution can be amended at any time. Article 6, paying debts. The Article 6 says that the federal government will pay money it owns to other people or countries. This article was written because the founding fathers wanted to be sure to pay any debt owned by the new country. The Constitution tells Americans that the United States will repay its debt. Article 7, approving the Constitution. Article 7 explains how the United States Constitution was ratified, approved. 9 out of 13 states had to vote in favor of the Constitution for it to become a law. Article 7 includes the signature of the members of the Constitutional Convention. All the members of the Convention approved the document. The amendments. The last part of the United States Constitution is the amendments. These are changes that have been made to the Constitution. These changes are new laws that are added to the Constitution. The first 10 amendments were ratified, approved on December 15, 1791. They are called the Bill of Rights. These 10 laws protect people's right of freedoms. They were added just 4 years after the Constitution has been written. Look at the picture. 10 of the first 12 amendments were approved and became the Bill of Rights. Why the Constitution important? The United States Constitution is the highest law in the United States. The Constitution created the federal government. The Constitution gave people in the United States rights and freedom. The Constitution states the rights of people living in the United States. It is written to protect the rights of the people living in the United States. You can see the Constitution in Washington, D.C. Alright folks, now today you already learned what's the US Constitution. Bye-bye.